What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the What the Fuck Gym Talk podcast. This is the first time I'm doing a full-on video recording with it because a lot of what I want to talk about today is it'll really help if you see the video aspect of this. So for those of you at home that are, driving or you're pushing bulldog scrubbers or you're, going for a run and you're listening to this, use your imagination. As graphic as that's going to be with some of the content we're going to discuss today. But when you get home, go ahead and check out the YouTubes and see the full-fledged video versions of some of these clips if you haven't seen so already. Warning, though, some of it is really graphic, especially if you have kids. It's a little rough. Not like blood and gore graphic, but just like that, like that feeling you get as like a parent, like where you're like, oh, I fucked up, like that kind of graphic. So what I'm talking about today is the recent recall of the Peloton Tread Plus, which is their higher end version, and then the Peloton Tread, their more lower end version. And if you guys aren't familiar with this, Peloton had to do a full recall recently, and I'm going to give a really good, fast in summary story of what happened here. So the Peloton Tread Plus, which costs about $4,300 per unit, plus I believe the $40 a month subscription, hits the scene, and I think they sold somewhere in the neighborhood of, I've got my number here in my notes, somewhere in the neighborhood of 125,000 of those treadmills have hit the marketplace and been purchased. Well, lo and behold, some incidents start occurring with owners of the treadmill and the Treadmill Plus. And that incident is that pets, objects, and unfortunately children were getting sucked up under the bottom, like the back of the tread where the conveyor belt goes around. You can all kind of visualize the back end of a treadmill. We've all been on one. The very exposed back end of that conveyor belt, there were some serious incidents and accidents. So far to date, the Peloton version of the treadmill is responsible for around 70, or I believe it's 72 is the number of child accidents or incidents as they were classified. And included in those was one death. A child died due to the injuries I believe he sustained from the treadmill. Like tragic, like just horrible, like you can't even fathom, like as a parent, you can't even like wrap your fucking head around that. Now, what happened with this entire thing is the death happened, a bunch of these injuries happened, and the what is the appropriate vernacular here? The CPSC, the Consumer Product and Safety Commission, which is the group and organization that does recalls, like if your vehicle gets all fucked up and the airbags don't deploy, or, your headrest explode, and, in a Ford Ranger, they have GM and Ford recall. You guys have heard enough about recalls, right? So the CPSC, Consumer Product and Safety Commission, they went ahead and they did their testing on this after these incidents happened, and they said, hey, you got to recall this fucking thing. You got to get it you got to get it out of the homes. You've got to recall this. And Peloton pushed back, and they pushed back pretty aggressively. And, they didn't recall. They said, hey, listen, when it's being used by adults ages 16 and over, the risk of injury is zero. You're not going to get hurt by it, okay? Now, granted, all the fucking treadmill fail compilation videos, like if you go into YouTube and you see people who eat shit, like 99% of them are eating shit on purpose for the laughs on YouTube. But, by and large, if you're an adult, you're probably not going to get hurt on a treadmill, like probably. Yes, accidents happen. By and large, you're probably not going to get injured. And that was Peloton's stance. Peloton's stance was essentially that. Like, no, listen, kids got hurt and that's fucking horrible, but it's not due to the treadmill. It's just due to kids touching and playing with something that they shouldn't touch and play with, or parents not watching them. And that was their initial stance. Well, the CPSC pushes back even further. This gets into the media. And as you can imagine, you know what the media does. They're going to go ahead and fucking, Peloton is a bunch of baby killers, and child dies on Peloton Tread Plus. And you saw stock prices plummet and people go insane. And Peloton has got, we can all say that during the pandemic, they're one of the few companies that like exploded. during the pandemic. They are an actual unicorn. They have an over $1 billion valuation, though they're still not profitable. Even with $1 billion valuation, much like WeWork and a lot of the predecessors in that unicorn, that's what they call in the startup world, a company gets $1 billion valuation. That's never created a profit. So, that boggles most of us with some basic mathematics and if you have a basic understanding of how business works, but that's how those companies, how they operate in that Silicon Valley world. So these guys, they put a lot of money and effort into the Tread. Plus, like even during the pandemic, and they grew, they put a lot of money and effort in this thing, and you could tell they were standing firm by their baby. They were not going to back down. Well, lo and behold, the CPSC comes through, the media comes through, enough complaints come through, the victim's parent, and Treadmill ends up issuing a recall. Now, they're recalling around 125,000, I think, all of those treadmills, and the total cost of the recall will be $165 million. 165 fucking million. All right? Now, for a company that's not profitable, that's a kick in the dick. Right? So you can see where, I truly don't think that the CEO, John Foley of Peloton, is out there like, oh, fuck it, I need my money. Babies get slaughtered in the fucking process. I really don't think that's the case. I think the guy's got kids too. And he's human, right? You can't imagine he's a diabolical, evil person. But I truly do believe that Peloton, doesn't, they're not creating a product that they think is going to injure people. So they were probably hesitant and they went on the defensive and they got crushed in that defensive and they ended up having to do the full recall anyway. Now, where my hot take on this whole thing comes in is, I hear something like this and I'm like, okay, well, I never take anything at face value. I'm going to do a little research on it. And here's the scenario. If you go check out the Consumer Product Safety Commission's website and you go and look at some news documents that were done, you're going to see some big fucking numbers that make you realize that this is not like a Peloton problem. This is just a treadmill problem, okay? In 2019, the CPSC reported 22,500 treadmill-related accidents treated at emergency rooms. All right. Now, out of those 22,500, 2,000 were kids under 8 years old. That's 9%. So there already is a treadmill design engineering flaw that exists. Peloton's just the biggest player in the market now, and they just have the biggest target on their back. So I see them getting scapegoated here a good amount. But in general, treadmills, for whatever reason, are fucking up babies and shih tzus and things in adults that somehow are fucking dumb enough to stick their hand in there. Like there's a design flaw fucking problem, right? And our man Michael Strahan, old Gap Tooth. If you're a big fan of Michael Strahan from his football days, he is an anchor now on Good Morning America. He went ahead and he actually got to interview John Foley, and I got a clip here from the interview, and this is where he's kind of pressing John on why they didn't do the recall sooner. Like when the CPSC first came out with the recommendation to recall, why they didn't do it then.
The way we operate at Peloton, we care deeply about our members' safety. But again, I will say we did make a mistake by not engaging with the CPSC in a more productive dialogue, and that's what you saw this week was part of our recall.
Yeah, because less than 3 weeks ago, we know your company, you were doubling down. Even after that Federal Safety Agency report stated they were aware of almost 40 accidents involving your machine, including that one child's death. You called the report inaccurate and misleading. So how do you feel about that statement now?
Well, when we brought the Tread and the Tread Plus product to market, it met every existing safety standard in Europe and the U.S. We made sure that they were safe products. When used properly, they're incredibly safe products. Through working with the CPSC, what we're doing now is saying we can add additional safety features, whether it's software features or hardware features that can make them even safer, industry-leading safe.
Okay, all right. So here's the deal. I can, again, if I had one superpower in the world, it's the ability to zoom out of a situation. Like emotionally as a father, I'm like, what the fuck? Fix your treadmill. Like, don't be yes, there's I'm going to go to my blame on the parent side. Trust me, the parents are going to get theirs. But my initial emotional reaction as a parent is to go that route. Like, make your treadmills fucking baby-proof. Like, baby-proof the shit. And But again, when you're taking a product to market, your job is to make the product as best as possible. And I truly believe at Peloton, they are not designing products with that much money behind it that are going to have a severe likelihood of injury in a child or an infant or a dog or whatever. So I truly believe in the heart of hearts of Peloton, they're shipping and sending the product to organizations, like organizations, government organizations, third-party organizations that certify the safety of it. Why isn't there any fucking blame on the organization whose job it is to test out and approve the safety of it or not? Like, here's how I look at it. When you're designing a product, you can't do two things at once. You cannot design the world's best treadmill, the world's best software-first treadmill, right? Again, we will say that the Peloton is the most successful tread and bike product in the history of tread and bike products. You can't be worried about designing the best version of that and simultaneously testing for every single safety scenario. Now, I think the two things need to happen in the in-house R&D at Peloton. But I think that's what these third-party government agencies are for, or whoever is the person, when they have to pass like safety standards. Whoever you send that to your product, like, here's my product. I want to take it to market. You go ahead and poke the holes in it. You stress test it. You tell me what we did wrong. And apparently these guys gave him the green light. Like, who's John Foley to get the green light? Like, he's probably super excited to get this product to market. He's in debt out to his eyeballs. His investors are waiting for the product to get to market. And he's like, well, guys, the approval committees said it was perfectly safe, but I don't know. I think we need to go ahead and keep, no, he's probably like, good, we got the green light, let's fucking go. Think about this for gym owners out there. Remember when you were building out your building and the permitting guy came through and was like, yep, you're good to go? Did you go back through and hire a third-party structural engineer? Be like, you know what? The permitting guy said it was safe to go. The building instructor from the city said we're safe and good to go. But you know what? I'm going to double-check every nail head and make sure it's all the way in there and every screw is tight. No. You were so excited to get your gym up and going. Who knows? That fucking city inspector could have been drunk as shit on meth. You had no idea. He doesn't know the difference between a structural LVL to a fucking balsa wood. And he approves you, and next thing you know, the fucking roof collapses, and you have the fucking massacre of 2021 because you didn't triple, quadruple check someone else's fucking work. Is everyone can we just at least see that logic path? And I think a lot of people, especially people who hate capitalism, right? They hate any of these huge fucking companies. They hear oh, they're valued at $1 billion. Fuck them. They're the worst. Again, I can't help those people, nor do I really want to. But when you're that large of a company, right? And you've got these aspirations, you have so many things moving at once, you get the green light from the government agency, the thing that says you're safe. I get it. I would ship mine to market too. The one thing with this scenario, and I'm not going to go back and play the video on it, but I've got my notes here. The initial warning from the CPSC came almost immediately after that child died. And that child unfortunately died here in March of 2021. And John Foley emailed all the members of Peloton personally. He sent a personal email, and I was not able to find it on the interwebs. But it essentially was talking about how tragic of a loss this was. We're super sorry to hear this. It affects us deeply at Peloton. We want to encourage user safety. And here's the deal. A lot of people got heated at that because it might have seemed like he was what's it called when you place blame, you taking blame and placing it on the user versus on them, the company. And I get that, especially in the heat of something as fucking horrible as a kid dying. But here's what I want you guys to see. And again, I'll describe this to those of you guys listening. But for those of you guys watching, look at this shit. All right, let's go. Where is it at? Okay, here is the one of the severe incidents that happened. Okay, and this is really graphic. If you have kids, this isn't like blood and gore graphic. The kid's face isn't going to get ripped off like, Batman Batman movie, Two-Face or whatever. But yeah, it sucks. So I'll do my best to describe it to you guys. But other you guys watching, just a heads up, not family and work safe. So essentially what we got here, there's no audio on this because this is from a security cam or some shit in the playroom. Which, by the way, messiest playroom ever. Clean that shit up, Mom. But look, they got the Peloton bike here. Look, Peloton bike. And they got the Peloton tread. This is a Peloton loyal family. Well, there's two kids here. There's a daughter, a young girl, probably the same age as my daughter, 4 years old. And she's just playing on the fucking tread. She's just walking on it. And her little brother, who he's probably like 2, has shoved like a Swiss ball up the back of the treadmill. And she gets off because he gets stuck. And she runs to go get help. And you could see this poor little dude, his fucking arms are stuck underneath there. Oh, my God. And, like, right now it's not moving. So it's not like it's scraping off of him. But, I mean, he's shaking and kicking. He's in pain. And he gets free. But then, that right there, I'm going to pause it right there. He gets free. And then the ball gets sucked, like the ball that he was leaning up against gets sucked back up under the treadmill a second time, and he goes back under it. And this is the one that really does it. So the ball's stuck. It's like cramming his head. This just sucks. And then now here's where it sucks him completely underneath, and the tread is rotating on his back. But somehow this kid, like, gets out. Like, it's a... that poor little dude. And when you, like, I made the fucking mistake of going back and looking at it, like, and pausing it. You could see his little arms are all fucked up. And if you look on the news, you Google it, you know, the incident, you could see pictures of the kid. He got fucked up. He's fine. That's the one who lived. It's obviously, that's not the child who died. But holy shit, like, my heart was, like, in my throat watching that, thinking about my Gus. And it was fucked up. But can we go to something real quick? Mom, Dad, what the fuck? Like, first off, like, again, like, I'm not like, I was just talking shit on the messy playroom earlier, but, like, you've got your Peloton and your bike right there in the kids' playroom area. Fine, you know, whatever. That's the room you put it in. But my God, unplug that shit. Like, there is no parent to be seen, and there's a fucking 4-year-old just walking on a moving treadmill. Like, my daughter's smart. She can turn on an iPad better than I can. And so this kid, obviously, same thing, went and turned on that fucking treadmill, started fucking getting a nice little brisk little workout in, and it sucked her little brother right up underneath of it. Like, there is some level of responsibility. You know, all right, any treadmill in the fucking world, right, out of that number that was going on there earlier, 22,500 treadmill incidents per year, any treadmill going at 6 miles an hour, 5 miles, whatever, and an adult sticks their hand underneath there, you're going to get a friction burn. You're going to get fucked up. Like, that's just the nature of it. Like, a treadmill should be looked at like, you know, parents put gates at the top of the stairs in case the kid fucking falls down. You don't get rid of the stairs. You just, like, put a precautionary thing. Like, wouldn't you think to fucking do that with a treadmill as well? I just don't quite understand the lack of caution around a product. Like, I think of a treadmill, I would instantly be like, no, of course that there's something that needs to happen. Now, does that something need to happen at the Peloton level? Yes. Like, why aren't there fucking mud flaps on the back or some kind of fucking, like, barrier over the back of that goddamn, you know, assembly, you know, the belt that goes around? Why haven't they made something like that? Now, Peloton did say they are doing it over the air. I think it happened this week. Like, today's Monday the 10th. I think it happened like today. There is a software update that is going to require a key code to get in, much like your iPhone if you lock it. I mean, that's great. I mean, that's a duh. But, like, again, with your Peloton, you're trying to make this amazing, dope software, hardware product. You're not thinking about little Timmy fucking getting sucked up underneath there while him and his sister have a fucking partner workout. It's just fucking shitty. The other thing I want to show this, like, some of the this other video. So, all right, this video here, this shows, again, this is a mom just getting her workout in, her little toddler's walking around, and somehow a giant Swiss ball got maybe the wind or something, the circulation from it's pulled it towards the back end of the tread. And watch what happens. Look at how fucking high up this tread gets. Hold up. Dude, the treadmill.
Sharing this video on TikTok showing just how easily something can go wrong. Thank God.
It literally sucked that entire giant med ball right up underneath the tread and popped it. I think it popped it. I'm pretty sure it popped it. Anyway, like, that is insane. I want to go back and watch it one more time. That is fucking nuts. That ball is so, I mean, it lifts the tread up like it's on hydraulics.
Thank God that nothing happened, because there are so many other directions that this situation could have gone.
Unreal.
Not All Tread Plus has been on the market since
Like, it just, again, super scary. More of a treadmill problem, not a fucking Peloton problem. And like, I look at companies, organizations like the CPSC, they got they got really upset when Peloton argued against their recall recommendation. But again, like CPSC, you're the Consumer Product Safety Commission. Why aren't all treadmills subject to this? If there's that many 22,500 accidents, it just, again, some pieces of equipment are just, there are things that are inherently dangerous for kids in general. I could take my electric fucking skateboard that gets up to 30 miles an hour to my daughter's school. I would slaughter all those little fuckers. It would be a fucking massacre of 4-year-olds if I put them on there and they went and just ripped and roared down the fucking hill. They would all die. Like, anything given to a child that is motorized with parts and mechanical element, like, that's not a good scenario. But you think of a company like Treadmill, they just acquired Precor. There's got to be an easy, like, they should just be able to ship out a fucking piece to everybody. Like, put this over the back of your treadmill, or like that software update. Like, I think that shit's dope too. Listen, let's listen to this John Foley interview real quick. Now, we already listened to that. Where did I want to go with this? There's another video on here I wanted to, here we go.
Reporting in 2019, there were an estimated 22,500.
Yeah, there we go, 22,500.
U.S. emergency departments. Around 2,000 of them were children under 8 years old.
2,000 of them. Peloton's responsible for, 72? Not bad. Again, I'm not saying like it's okay and that kid died and it's fucking horrible. Like, it's absolutely atrocious. But if we just look at like raw numbers, let's just take emotion out, turn off emotion, okay? Yes, it is okay to do that at times, and just turn on, numbers, looking at it from a numbers perspective. There's a lot of other companies out there that there needs to be the same fucking conversation. It's not just Peloton. Again, I think Peloton's just an easy fucking target because they're so goddamn big.
Rocketing during the pandemic. Sales of treadmills soaring 135% from March to October in 2020.
Yeah, okay. So again, we all know the equipment got sold out and it's crazy popular. I get it. It's crazy. Like, I was doing the math on this too. Out of the 22,500 treadmill related accidents, 2,000 were children under 8. Well, what happened? What about the other 20,500 injuries? Are those kids like 9 to 14? Are those adults? Are those old? Like, I'm curious because no offense, like, again, just the numbers, 22,500 treadmill related accidents, 2,000 of which were children under 8 years old. That's 9%. Who's the other fucking 91%? Like, what other group and population in this world is getting fucked up that bad on treadmills? Like, why aren't they speaking? Again, kids are, you're always going to go and protect the children first. But I'm truly just curious. Who else? Like, what other category is being sent to the hospital? Like, what age range are we talking about here? The other 91% of people getting fucked up by treadmills. Now, here's the one thing that I think is really fucking interesting. And I don't think I have the video on it. I might have, I don't think I have it. But any of you guys who are big boxing fans, any boxing fans out there, does everyone remember that in 2009, Mike Tyson's kid, I think it was his daughter, died on a treadmill? Does anyone remember that? That was a big fucking deal. Mike Tyson, one of the top 10 probably iconic sports figures ever. His daughter died on a treadmill. I didn't do too much research into it, but maybe some of you guys will. I don't recall there being a fucking giant recall in 2009. I was graduating college on my 5th year victory lap, like the party. I don't remember there being like a huge like treadmill recall. Not that Mike Tyson's baby is more important than this other baby that just died because he's famous and a boxer, but like that's a big deal. Like, that's a huge, like, Mike Tyson has the fucking money to sue whatever company, made that treadmill, to the 10th degree. Like, this whole treadmill thing is fucking insane. Like, the fact that this many kids get injured on treads, And just it's, I mean, like, I don't, like, here's the deal. I always, whenever I think that something's easy, I always zoom out and realize, no, Stuart, you're just a fucking moron. There's someone way smarter than you who already has realized it's not that easy. Because I'm sitting here saying, sure, why can't we just put a fucking bumper or something on the back of the tread? Do we not think that some kid from MIT that got hired by Peloton or someone like one of these engineers didn't already think of that? Like, do we really think these people are so fucking evil? They're like, a couple kids will get sucked up underneath there, but the aesthetics look a lot better when there's no bumper on the back. I like the way that looks better. I like the ass of my tread to be wide open and exposed. That's a good-looking tread ass. I don't want to be putting anything over top of it, fucking like rear condom belt thing. If a couple kids got to go, a couple kids got to go. Like, no, I don't think anyone's fucking saying that. So, in my head, there's a reason something hardware-wise hasn't been done yet. Do you remember anyone, like, because again, my Globo Gym days, all of our treads had to be upgraded with those cords. Do you remember, like, it was a cord you'd clip to your shirt? That way, if you were letting it run too fast and you flew off the tread, it would stop it, which was the dumbest fucking thing ever. Because if the tread was going at any significant mileage, and let's just call it like 6 miles an hour above, by the time your fucking cord ripped out of the machine, it's not like it stopped immediately. It slowed down, but it still sent you fucking flying, like ridiculously flying. So like that was, I remember that safety effort. But some of this shit is just, I think it's just something fucking ridiculous. Like, and from a comedy perspective, not comedy, but like a fucking like, let's just relax for a second perspective. Maybe this is why we're the fattest country in the world, because our fitness equipment kills babies, right? Like why would you want to work out on equipment that is killing babies left and fucking right? I just think it's absolutely fucking insane. The treadmill is supposed to be the lowest barrier to entry fitness product, right? Walking outside and running outside is the lowest barrier to entry fitness scene you could do. But from a product perspective, minus the cost, it is definitely the low, because it allows you just to walk, right? And walk for a continued period of time for people in, shitty weather conditions and all that stuff. Watch a movie while you do it, whatever, listen to a podcast like this one. But if people are getting injured on it and the media is going to make it out to be this death fucking machine, yeah, it's just another reason another overly fat person has to be like, yeah, you know what? I was going to exercise. I really was, right? Is there like fist fucking like a McFish or some Cheetos? I was totally going to exercise, but then I heard that, Peloton and treadmills, well, they kill babies, and I can't support that. So I'll just be here on the couch watching Netflix watching Schitt's Creek on Netflix if anybody needs me. I will not participate in the killing of babies. Like, we're trying to make this country healthier, people. We're trying to get people to exercise, and the fucking equipment is not helping and making a great fucking argument for why exercise is good for your health, because it's too busy killing babies and sending 22,000 people a year to the hospital. Is this, I made a note in here, is this really a Peloton problem or a horrible shit happens when kids are left alone problem? Going back to the parents, guys, there's some level of responsibility, right? I'm a new townhouse that built, is that moving into, and it's funny because it's a 4-story and it's got stupid steep stairs. I have no idea how these stairs pass inspection, but anyway, my daughter's 4. She's on that cusp, but like should know better, but still, gets a little nimbly-bimbly at the knees when she's getting excited. And I think each set of steps is something like, I don't know, like almost 20 steps or something like that, 20 plus steps. If she ate it going, these are all hardwoods, so if she eats it going down, homegirl, like Gus is going to be taking the short bus, all right? So I'm like having a company come out, and they're going to install these like as aesthetically pleasing as possible retractable gate things. But that's like they're steps. Like I need them I need them. They're there. They're not going anywhere. But I'm going to make this structural thing as safe as possible. This is a tread. This is something like, and I'm almost positive that is the Peloton tread one that folds up? I need to look into that. Does it like the back end fold up like I see a lot of those would do that makes storage easier? Right? Or like unplug the fucker. Like unplug the fucking thing. Take the cord, hide it. Like tell your kids, never fucking touch this. And trust me, I get it as a parent. I know saying never fucking touch this is about as useful as not doing anything at all. But I'm just looking at this setup here, this chick's Nest Cam, and, you know, I feel bad, man. This is just a mom. This is just a parent who's just trying to get a workout in, and, like, you know, they've got this extra room in their house to do this in, and she's just trying to stay fit while she's got a kid. I understand the difficulty of it, but, like, we also have to extend some level of responsibility to the fucking parents. You have to. You absolutely have to, and say, listen, you have many products in your house that you purposely do safe things with. You lock up with little locks all the disinfectant and wasp killer and fucking bleach and all that stuff so your kids can't get it. You know, you don't take the block of, you know, cutting knives and put it in the playroom, right? You put that up into the back. Like, there's plenty of things we do as parents to protect our kids from shit that we shouldn't really have to think about, but because they're kids and kids know what the fuck they're doing, we do. How is the treadmill, like, how does that escape your line of sight on that? Especially, maybe it's because these 25 or 22,000 plus fucking injuries are not made public enough. We all watch fail compilations on YouTube that are hilarious. I mean, fucking hilarious. But the ones with the kids are just like, oh, that you'll go, like, if you watch this, anyone listening to this, you go back and watch this, I promise you when you close your eyes tonight, you'll think about that for a second. You'll be like, ah, fuck. It just, especially if you have kids, it is really, it's fucking scary. But I want to lean on a Greg Glassman quote. I wrote this down. Greg Glassman, founder of CrossFit, the original founder, the CEO, he got, you know, booted out. But he said a phrase that I loved. Show me an exercise that's 100% safe, and I'll show you an exercise that's 100% ineffective. Now, what he's saying by that is that all exercise is inherently dangerous, right? Using dumbbells, kettlebells, running, swimming, cycling, right? You could, you know, bad form, hurt yourself, drop the dumbbell on your foot. You could fucking get a cramp and drown. You could get hit by a car on your bike. Like, you could be running and, you know, get hit by a car. Like, there's inherent danger in all that. However, products like this, all products, I believe there's inherent danger in. Like, a blender is perfectly safe unless you stick your hand in it and push the button, right? Like, that's legit. Fucking an electrical outlet is inherently safe as long as you're not a kid shoving a fucking fork into it. And a treadmill is inherently safe as long as you don't stick your hand up under the fucking conveyor belt. Like, you know what I hope doesn't happen? I really hope that people that need to be on treadmills, parents that need to be exercising, use this as an excuse as to why not to exercise. Like, that's the last thing we need. And I know I harped on that just a little bit ago, but I really, really fucking, I just hope that's not where the response goes. And I want Peloton to do well. I know a lot of gym owners are going to hate me for saying that. I don't think it's an us versus them thing. And I'm a micro gym owner as well. I want people to do well because the more people fucking with Peloton, I mean, the more people that are fit. Guys, let me tell you, if you live in a fit state, you live in a state like in Montana or Colorado or out west, you know there are better looking, healthier, fitter humans everywhere. You live in Ohio, right? You live in fucking Southeast Ohio, and 2 out of 3 people look like they're going to be dead by the age of 50. Going to Buffalo Wild Wings on a fucking Tuesday afternoon for 2 hours, right? Like the kind of people that fucking meet their Postmates driver in the driveway because they're that excited, right? I stole that joke from Deuce. I got to give Deuce credit to that one. It's my favorite. I've used it like twice. Listen, it is this whole Peloton thing. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on it. I want to talk about how I'm going to talk about it more maybe in the future if anything else develops, but I want to talk about how we can learn from this as micro gym owners, and if you own a business. What this whole thing's going to boil down to is brand, right? And with brand, so one of the currency of brand is trust. Users and subscribers to Peloton right now may not trust Peloton, especially if they look at the narrative of that, well, the CPSC told you to recall it and you didn't because you're greedy, capitalistic, money-hungry pigs. So I don't trust you anymore. That could be like a feeling many Peloton owners and members have. And they do, the funny thing, or not funny, but they refer to all their customers as members because they're on a recurring membership. For us here right now, we have to realize that trust is the number one thing. And things like, let's say for a micro gym, let's say you didn't show up to coach your 5 a.m. class one day. You had a coach no-show. And there you go. You got 15 clients standing outside with their dick in their hands. They're going to be disappointed, but I bet you they'll still trust you. Like you probably put a dent in the trust that you could easily fix. Personal phone calls, gifts, discount their next month's membership, whatever, but they'll probably still trust you, right? That's an accident. However, when safety is involved, that's where people lose trust. For example, if, God forbid, you had an individual suffer a heart attack inside of your facility and you did not have an AED and you had nobody that, even if you did, you had nobody who was CPR certified. Nobody knew what to do and somebody died. That, my friends, would be a blow to your brand in which trust is completely now voided out. And you are going to suffer from that for there might be no coming back from that. And if it is, it's going to take a very long time, a lot of transparent apology, showing your members what you're doing to be better. Because accidents happen. Like, again, even that gym owner that might not have an AED, it's not that he was, maybe he was an idiot, he was ignorant, and he was being a cheapskate. That was it. He doesn't actually want one of his members to die. He just didn't think about the larger consequence. Just like maybe John Foley at Peloton, they didn't think about the larger consequence of the back end of a treadmill being exposed. It's not that they want to harm kids. It's not that this gym owner wanted someone to die if they have a heart attack. But those are the things. So guys, when you are thinking of your brand, if there's an opportunity, think worst case scenario. Here's an example. This is a real example. I swear to Christ, this is not a joke. A female member of ours exited the building one day 2-3 years ago and walked around the back of the building where there is no good lighting to get her car. We have a back parking lot that a lot of people utilize, and at the time, it was horribly lit. A gentleman, some streetwalker, came running towards her with his dick out. No joke. With his dick out. Running towards her. She runs back into her car, drives away, calls us. We look outside. We don't see the guy. Immediately the next day, I ordered lights for the back of I lit, motion sensor lights all in the back wall. Now, let's say I had heard that and not acted. What if she had told me that happened? I didn't act, right? I didn't call the cops like we did. I didn't install the lights. And 2 weeks later, someone actually attacked her and something horrible happened. Then again, you had an opportunity to take care and protect a member, and you chose not to because you're busy, because it was expensive, because it was inconvenient. That is where trust gets crushed in a brand. So guys, in ending in this podcast here, I want you to be thinking, zoom out, zoom the fuck out, and think about in some scenarios, what's the worst case scenario? Is there anything you could be doing now to prevent that worst case scenario? And then, what's it going to cost? What's it going to mean? Do we have to change things? Do we have to install things? Do we have to remove things? And you just sit back and think, okay, if the bad thing happened tomorrow, what would happen to the business? What would happen to that person? What would happen to our reputation? What would happen to the trust with the brand? All those questions. And hopefully that can be a North Star for you. Guys, thank you so much. If you happen to be watching this at home and you watch the entire thing, let me know. Comment down below on YouTube or on Facebook. I'm super curious whether I should be doing more video format of this or whether just stick it to the audio. I think with things like this, having the video kind of helps. But you let me know. I make this shit for you guys. So listen, have a great day. And until I see you in the next podcast, have a great fucking day. Did you see how stupid fucking redundant that is, Stuart? God damn, I quit.